Week 6 is almost in the books. We have Monday night tonight, and was it Jets Bills? So some fantasy guys there, but Week 6 is in the books. Kind of amazing. We're getting to the almost halfway point of the fantasy regular season. After next week, we will be halfway through the fantasy regular season for most people. Flies by, really does. So we're talking winners, we're talking losers. As always, we try to leave out some of the obvious stuff and look at other things and trends and usages and stuff like that. So today we're starting off with Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears. Pretty good. I mean, 226 passing yards, 4 touchdowns. Could have had 5 touchdowns, 56 yards on the ground. And so this is great to see. Yeah. Great to see this stuff.
He's looking pretty damn good. So it looks like he's in control and everything else. So, I mean, it's kind of nice seeing rookie quarterbacks. You know, we got a couple of them this year that are looking pretty good. So it's nice for the fantasy world.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And it's good for DJ Moore. It's good for, Cole Kmet, although I'm not even sure what DJ Moore did this week. Yeah, he didn't do much, but it will be good for DJ Moore. It will, obviously, it's been good for Cole Kmet. Keenan Allen, caught a touchdown. He got 18.5 points. Roma Dunze is going to be hard to trust, but one thing I like about the Bears offense is that they're using more 11 personnel. So they're getting more 3 wide receivers sets out there. So they only did that they did that in over 60% of their first half snap. So, if we're going to have multiple wide receivers, we're going to need to see that. And it's a good reminder just to be careful to judge players after 2-3 weeks, especially rookies. Now they have had an easy schedule. That's definitely a part of it. The last few weeks they played the Colts, Rams, Panthers, Jags. Those are 4 teams you want to target for fantasy football. And they started off the year with the Titans and Texans, who are a little tough, but they also get the Commanders and Cardinals the next 2 weeks. So the good defenses kind of continue here, and we've seen bad quarterbacks look bad even in good matchups. So we need to see it happen in those favorable matchups. So really, really good to see. The rushing floor is definitely real with Caleb, and he kind of just said, like, hey, you're going to give me these lanes to run, I'm going to take them, right? So he's had 56, 34, 44 in 3 of 6 games this year. He's had over 30 yards rushing, which is really good. So anything you want to kind of comment on there?
No, they got I can't remember how many divisional games Chicago has played. It may have been one. I don't remember who it was. It could have been Green Bay, but yeah, they got to play.
Played yet.
No, they haven't played anyone.
Mm-mm.
So they got Minnesota twice. They'll have Green Bay twice. They'll have Detroit twice. So we'll have to. So you got, I think the numbers will be there, and stuff like that. And but you got to beat, to be the man, you got to beat the man. So we'll see what happens. But he looked pretty good.
Yeah, no, he definitely did, and not to spend too much time on Caleb, but he's averaging 220 yards passing per game. Obviously, more over the last couple of weeks, but that's over 3,700 yards. He has 9 touchdowns in 6 games, which is going to give him about over 25 on pace for. And then again, the rushing yards, he's averaging 28 rushing yards on the ground, which is not nothing. That accounts for 475 rushing yards on the season, which is really good. So you have Saquon Barkley as bad, a loser, 47 rushing yards, 2 catches, 7 yards, coming off the bye, pretty disappointing. He's been obviously the first 3 weeks he was awesome. Last 2 weeks a little bit lower. The week before the bye he had 115 total yards, so hard to be down on that, but no touchdowns the last 2 weeks. So yeah, tell us what you're feeling with Saquon. Are you panicking?
No, I wouldn't. It's just that the Eagles, the Browns are pretty good defensively. That's who they played yesterday. So the Eagles, they're definitely don't seem to have this juggernaut offense. Like that,
Yeah.
like they did kind of half of last year and then the year before when they went to the Super Bowl. But Saquon, I don't know. I don't. It's hard to call him a loser, but in this game, he didn't look really great. That's by the way, those 47 rushing yards were on 18 carries.
Yeah, not great, not
No.
great. But I'm not too worried about Saquon. Although the Eagles, it just feels hard for them. Just feels hard. Everything they do, it just feels hard. Like they just something's not clicking there, and I don't know. It kind of feels a little bit like last year. It's just a struggle. We saw this Cleveland team get like demolished by other teams, and they kind of barely eked out a win there. On a not very good Eagles or Browns team. We saw this Browns team get kind of lit up by the Commanders. They lost to the Giants. They lost to the Raiders. Like Eagles being what people think a Super Bowl contender should be, kind of blowing these guys out. So. Bijan Robinson on the other side, the running backs, finally a win week here for Bijan Robinson. We predicted it. Carolina is just like the team to target for running backs. Even Tyler Algier had over 100 total yards. I think they went over 200 yards rushing between the two of them. But we got 95 yards on the ground. We got 3 catches. We got 2 total touchdowns. I'm going to say something, though. I think I would potentially, if I can, sell high on Bijan. If I can cash out right now, this is what we were waiting for, because I don't think Tyler Algier is going away. This game was not, I know it was 38-20, but it was kind of close there. It was never in like garbage time, right? It was never like, oh, if Falcons have this and they're resting Bijan, or it was always kind of close, and Panthers kind of made it even late in that fourth quarter. They had the ball. If they scored, they can go for an onside kick. So Tyler Algier is not going away. He's played over 40% of the snaps. So I don't think we're going to get Bijan 80%, Bijan 70%, maybe not even Bijan 75%, and maybe not even Bijan 70%. I think we're looking at Bijan to 60 to 65%, and that's going to make these boom games less often. So I might sell high on Bijan if I can. Any thoughts there, though? Good to see Bijan finally put it together.
Yeah, no. I don't think, like you said, Algier is not going away. So I don't know. When you say sell high, I guess what would you get for him or something like that? I mean, make sure you're not giving the guy away. He's still, a pretty. He's a premium running back. Let's just call it like it is. So I know there's been some up and down games and stuff like that, but Atlanta as a team looks like they've hit their stride, and with Cousins and now 2 decent running backs. I mean, Detroit Lions are in the same category. So I mean, just kind of the Ravens seem to be hitting their stride offensively and stuff like that. So, yeah. But yeah, Bijan had a very good game. So,
yeah, it was good to see. Good to finally see. But again, Algier had 18 carries himself. So, Brian Thomas Jr., 6 targets, 3 catches, 27 yards. We talked a little bit about this. Like, the Bears are a legit team. So I'll let you start off with Brian Thomas and your thoughts here. Is it more about the Jags? More about the Jags and Trevor Lawrence overall, or is it more about him?
Yeah, but this game was a London game, and got up early on the West Coast here to watch it and stuff like that, and and there was a play where he was wide open and the ball hit him right in the hands, and he possibly could have scored. I mean, he would have been in the open field running and stuff like that, and he dropped that, and it just his overall day. And I looked at his numbers later, and I just said, he made my loser list. So
Didn't is that the same one? I know Trevor Lawrence either overthrew him or underthrew him in another one too, like a deep, easy touchdown. I don't know if that's the same
maybe.
one or.
Well, I thought there was one where he just hit him in the hands and he
It
dropped
might have been.
Yeah,
Might have been. Yeah,
but
yeah.
sometimes these guys are only as good as as their quarterback and their offense and stuff like that. But
yeah, I'm not too worried about Brian Thomas. He's the wide receiver 9 on the year, even with that 4.2 points. That was kind of his first bad game of the year. But I am worried that just this Jags offense in general. I think what are you waiting for? I think it's time to move on from Doug Peterson. Unfortunately, they're 1-5. It's just not looking good for them at all. And so we could see a change here. I don't know how much that's going to change the offense, but Trevor Lawrence also is a big part to blame for this. He's just not as good as we thought. We got to just accept that. So Mark Andrews as a winner, 4 targets, 3 catches, 66 yards and a touchdown. That's 2 weeks in a row now that we've had usable, startable weeks for Mark Andrews. He's another one. I think I would sell high on him. If people are buying into Mark Andrews' back, his usage was exactly the same. He's caught some passes the last couple of weeks, but his usage is exactly the same. So all the other games where he wasn't putting up points, the usage is still like that. So even in a game when Lamar, if you told me this year that Lamar has back-to-back games with 350 yards passing and 323 yards passing, I would say, oh my God, Andrews must have at least. So what's that? We're talking about over 650 total yards or passing yards from Andrews. I would say, from Lamar. I would tell you that Mark Andrews has at least 200 of that, right? He probably has 200 of those almost 700 passing yards. No, Mark Andrews does not. It's there. He's a tight end, so he doesn't need to do too much, but I'm a little bit worried about this. The volume's just not going to be there. They're a run-first team, and we're seeing even on big passing games. I don't expect Lamar to throw over 300 yards very often. He's done it twice, back-to-back weeks. We're still kind of getting just mediocre numbers from Andrews. Yeah, he caught the touchdown, which is nice. So I would sell high on him if I can. Again, the key word is sell high. Do you want to add anything there?
Yeah, it's he looked like the Mark Andrews of old. So, get him the ball. The Jaguar or the Ravens offense looked really good, and they had to. They were the old Washington Commanders were. They didn't look too bad either. So they had to, but combination of the running game, Lamar had a good game, Andrews had a good game, so it all kind of meshes together.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good. It's good to see. It's just I don't know if we're gonna get the Mark Andrews that we drafted him to be. He'll be a good startable tight end for the rest of the year, but if people are thinking he's kind of back, he's going to be what he was, what we drafted him to be, then I think I would sell high on him. We're going to talk about the Cowboys here. We have Dak as a loser. CeeDee Lamb's kind of a loser, even though he's wide receiver 8 this year. He hasn't had the boom game at all. He's had one really good game, and that's about it. Dak has not been good. The Cowboys have not been good. Jake Ferguson, the Cowboys defense. So go ahead, Dad. You can unload on the Cowboys.
Yeah.
If you want.
Yeah. It's the Dak CD show. So when you kind of put a little clamp on that, defensively, defensive teams and stuff like that, who else is going to show up? It's not, yeah, there's not, I mean, Jake Ferguson, and it's just, yeah. So, I mean, that's the deal. It worked last year to a certain point, but you had Tony Pollard, and now you have, I'm sorry, you got nothing. Everybody, Rico Dowdle had a good game a week ago, and everybody's like, oh, here we go. It's like, no, it's not happening. So nice to see. It's nice to see the Lions put a whipping on their ass. They were rubbing it in too at the end. They had offensive linemen running. They had Dan Skipper, 6'6", 340-pound guy, split out wide, running a slant route. Panay Sewell catching passes. So they were rubbing it in. But anyway, well, we're talking Cowboy fantasy.
No, they were. No, it is. It's disappointing to see, Dak's the QB 11 on the year, right? But he's had really one game. He's had an 18-point game, almost 30-point game. Those are his two good games, but we expected multiple 20-point games from Dak. Their best running back, which is kind of crazy to think, is Rico Dowdle, who's barely making the top 30, right? CD Lamb. Yeah, he's wide receiver 8 in total points, but he's had really one CD Lamb game. Jake Ferguson. Jake Ferguson's the tight end 11. He missed a game. He's the tight end 11, but we just expected more from this entire offense, and it's not really happening here. And this time last year is when they clicked and became the Cowboys, and of Lamb and Dak had that connection. It was literally like this time last year after the bye, and they have a bye week this week. So maybe that comes along, but definitely disappointing to see there. And I have Chuba Hubbard here as a winner, and he's an interesting conversation for sure. Chuba Hubbard right now is the RB7 in total points, and that was with a terrible first week where the Panthers were just a mess and they just didn't use him. He's currently on pace for 375 rushing yards, 62 catches, 265 receiving yards, and 9 total touchdowns. That's Chuba Hubbard's stats on pace for right now. Everyone's talking about Jonathan Brooks, and Jonathan Brooks this and Jonathan Brooks that.
He hasn't played.
He hasn't played. He missed a lot of time. I don't see Jonathan Brooks coming back this year, really, and really being a big – I don't know how you go away from Chuba Hubbard. He just hasn't – he's been really damn good. Every time we've seen Chuba Hubbard with the ball or get the ball and be the guy, we've seen really good numbers from him. He's averaging 5.5 yards per carry. He can catch the ball. He's scoring touchdowns. I don't even know, is Brooks back at practicing yet? I know the window opened and all that stuff. I don't even know if he's back practicing. Yeah, are they going to want to see what they have with Brooks? Of course. Maybe that's a December thing.
Yeah, I don't know the severity of the injury and stuff like that. And we know that it's been still been less than 12 months since his ACL tear. And, we're talking about the running back position and stuff like that. So I see him playing. The problem is he going to be relevant in the fantasy world? I don't know. I don't see him making a huge impact, but I see him playing something. But for everybody, dynasty people, they drafted him, so just stash him, give it a year, and see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, again, what we're looking at here. So I'm looking at a tweet here from a Panthers beat writer. It says, talked to rookie running back Jonathan Brooks on Thursday. So this was just a few days ago. He seemed to think there was a chance he could begin his 21-day window for return next week. So we're looking at, and then Panthers have a bye late in November or mid-November. I don't think we see much of Brooks until the November 24th game against the Chiefs. And at that point, we're talking that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. We're talking about week 12, 13. your fantasy regular season's almost done. So it's more about Chuba than Brooks. Like Chuba, you have a smash play here if you drafted him. So, Mike Evans as a loser, 6 targets, 2 catches, 34 yards. Now, he did miss time. He played 57% of the snaps. So even when he came back, they were kind of rotating him in and out. That's something to monitor. But something you wanted to say there on Mike Evans?
Yeah, he did go out, and it's just, as much as the Buccaneers offense was rolling, I don't know if he has, this ongoing feud with Lattimore, the cornerback there for New Orleans. I don't know if Lattimore just kind of shut him down a little bit for this game, or the Buccaneers.
No, he didn't really shadow him or anything. I think it was more just he missed the time. Like he missed 40% of the snaps.
Well, and the running game was obviously going for the Buccaneers, but they were. I know Godwin. I think Godwin is. I'm just looking at scoring on ESPN. Godwin was the high scorer for the whole week.
Yeah, Godwin's been awesome. That's kind of why I wanted to touch on this a little bit. Is we haven't really we've seen a big game from Evans because of a 2 touchdown game and then 8 for 94 and a touchdown. But like we haven't seen like 120, 150 yards, 10 catch kind of games. And he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of his 6 games. He has 7 or less targets, which is not what we're used to. We're used to 8+ targets for Mike Evans. And he's currently on pace for 878 yards, which would be first time he's ever gone under 1,000. So I think he still gets to 1,000. He has 5 touchdowns on the year. He probably is going to have double-digit touchdowns. But I just, I don't think we're getting necessarily what we had last year to a full extent. So I put Alvin Kamara here as a winner. Even with Spencer Rattler out there, Alvin Kamara still had 64 total yards, a touchdown. He still had 5 catches. He's kind of just quarterback proof. He had 14.9 half PPR points on the week, which is RB15 on the week. And this is more I wanted to touch on the old running backs. That was a big topic coming into the season. Old running backs, avoid them. A lot of people just say, I just flat out avoid them. Well, Derrick Henry and Alvin Kamara are the RB1 and 2 to start the year. Old running backs, right?
Unbelievable.
Joe Mixon.
Yeah.
Missing 3 weeks is the RB5 he's the RB5 in points per game. But Joe Mixon, who's going to be on this list, has been playing very well. James Conner is RB13 on the year. Aaron Jones is RB16 with a bye week already. So he's going to be even higher than that. He's RB16 in points per game as well. Like multiple older running backs doing it. And sometimes guys are just different. Sometimes, Derrick Henry's on pace for almost 2,000 yards rushing and 25 total touchdowns. Like he's being a monster. Kamara is going to be a monster, right? These guys are just, could they get injured? Of course. I think anyone can get injured though. I think anyone could. So just wanted to point that out with these old guys. Give him a shout out to the old men. Pat Freiermuth, 3 targets, 2 catches, 16 yards. Disappointment here. What do you want to say about Pat the Dragon?
Yeah, probably a product of the Steelers offense, and it's kind of a shame. I think Freiermuth he looked like he was getting in tune with Justin Fields there a week or 2 ago, and stuff like that, and it kind of didn't happen this week. So
yeah. I think it's just more about, like you said, it's the Steelers' offense. I don't think we can trust anyone really. Like Freiermuth, you can trust because he's a tight end, and like 2 for 16 is like whatever, right? He's still tight end 9 on the year, Freiermuth, and he's had 1 double digit. Freiermuth has had 2 games above 6 points, and he's the tight end 9 this year. Like, but it's more about Justin Fields, like in the offense. Justin Fields has 1, 2, 3, 4 of his 6 games where he's thrown for under 150 yards or less. right? You're just not going to get much from Pickens from Friday. So I don't know if we can trust any of these guys, right? I think that's what we take out of it the most.
Well, funny thing is the Steelers put up 32 points. So, we're talking about Najee had a good game. So it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of different.
Well, that's the point is I don't think they're going to go away. I think they're going to need to see 2 bad games in a row from Fields to really move on from him. And really they haven't seen that because he can do so much with his legs. He had two rushing touchdowns, Fields. He's so dynamic. So they're sitting there at 4-2, right? I don't think you go away from him until you see 2 bad games in a row. So we're kind of like 3 weeks out from Pickens and Freiermuth really being anything consistently. So I put Drake May as a winner here. 250 yards passing, almost 3 touchdowns. He had 38 yards on the ground. He can move, by the way, guys. He rushed for like over 700 yards in college. And he just kind of makes this offense interesting. Like finally the Patriots are going to be interesting. Demario Douglas, 9 targets, 6 catches, 92 yards and a touchdown, right? Like you had Kayshon Boutte or Boutte. He caught a long touchdown pass, a 40-yard touchdown pass, right? Jalen Polk, who's going to be playing a lot, could be doing something this year. Okay, like a rookie receiver, only had 4 targets, only had 1 catch, but he's been out there a lot. He didn't play as much this week, but it just makes it all a little bit more relevant. I think it's going to help the run game. He's a rookie quarterback, so I talked about this with Brian on the ranking show or the week 6 ranking show, kind of like with Polk and Douglas. It's just like, what if these guys are good? What if Drake May's good? Then we're going to want some of these guys. Up until this point, no one wanted any pass catcher. It's very rare you have no pass catcher for a team that you even want. Not even one. Tight end, wide receiver. And I'm just saying, like, if Drake May is just competent, there's going to be someone out there that's going to be good. So what do you think of Drake May? You thought he looked pretty good?
It seemed to put a little energy into the Patriots offense. I'd say, I know they're missing their best running back, and if they could get some kind of running game going, other than you want Drake May not to be the focus of the running game. You want Antonio Gibson, 13 carries, 19 yards. So obviously a real running game with Ramondre Stevenson and then Drake May getting his, that'll make the team a lot better offensively. So
yeah, I agree. And it's exciting to see. This is what we should have seen. And I understand you want to wait. You don't want to throw them to the Wolves right away. And that offensive line's not good. Not good at all. Calvin Ridley, 8 targets, 0 catches. He had a rush for 5 yards. Holy crap. Thank God for Tony Pollard, or there'd be no one on the Titans worth talking about. So
I wonder if this is, I seen that stat and I go, I wonder if this is a mistake. And, I checked a couple places and it's like, is Levis that bad or was it a combination of in Levis and Ridley? They spent a lot of money on Calvin Ridley. I think they overpaid for him. If I remember right. And it's like, man, this is, and you're right. The Titans offense is garbage, man.
He has a catch percentage of 33.3% this year. That's bad. Under 60 is kind of bad.
What does Hopkins have? It'd be interesting. I'm just trying to.
He had 4. Okay, Hopkins had 4 for 54. So at least he did something. His catch percentage is at 70. They're using Ridley as like that deep threat down the field guy. Yeah. And Levis just can't get him the ball. He's a bench, and 1 or 2 more weeks of this, he's probably just a cut. Like, I don't see it getting better with Ridley. And this was against the Colts, by the way, who were 11th. They weren't very good against wide receivers. They weren't terrible, but they were in the top 12 of teams you want to target for your wide receivers. So Yeah, thank God for Tony Pollard because all these guys are just awful, awful, awful. And they said they're going to roll with Levis, that he's the quarterback for the year, but we'll see. We'll see when push comes to shove, type of thing. So, Joe Mixon, I have as a winner, man. This guy comes back from a high ankle sprain, missing 3 games, and goes for 13 carries, 102 yards, 2 catches for 30 yards, 2 touchdowns. Amazing. Like, high ankle sprains are not a thing. He missed 3 games because of it, and the dude just comes back and like puts up a stat line you don't really see from Joe Mixon: 13 for 102. Somehow he's the running back 3. Sorry, he's the running back 28 in total points on the year. He's basically played 2 games. He's played 2.5 games, and he's the running back 28 in points per game. He's the RB5. And again, he missed half a game, which counts towards those points per game. The 2 full games he's played, he's having over 25 points. So Joe Mixon is awesome. Like, he just, and they want to run the ball. The Texans want to run the ball, and it's a good combination when you have a quarterback like Stroud, So good to see, man. It's good to see he's one of those old guys doing it. Kind of, he's 28 years old, and which is kind of old for a running back. So, any thoughts on Mr. Joe Mixon?
Yeah, he's Cincinnati got rid of him. He was probably getting too expensive and stuff like that, but he was still relevant in Cincinnati. He's perfect for the Texans. And I think he started off okay until he got injured, and I think he's gonna have a good year. It's gonna turn out good for the Texans, fantasy owners, and Joe Mixon.
Yeah, absolutely. He was one of my favorite, round 3, 4 targets, and I know he missed the time, but it's paying off. And then I just want to touch on Kyler Murray real quick, and just like the inconsistency. I don't know what to make of this Arizona offense and Kyler Murray in general. 3 games of under 215 yards passing, only 3 touchdowns passing the last 3 weeks. I know he gives you stuff on the ground, 83 yards last week, only 14 this week. He's not really doing it as a passer. I expected Kyler Murray to do kind of big things this year. He's the quarterback 8, which looks good. But then you look at it and you're like, it's really because of 2 weeks, 2 25-point weeks or higher. 14.2, 15.8, 10, and then 12 this last week. Like, I kind of want my quarterback I'd rather have him giving me 18 points every week rather than under 15 3 weeks, and just disappointing to see. I know Marvin Harrison got hurt, but I guess I just expected a little bit more from Kyler to start the year. And yeah, it's slightly disappointing. Not saying he can't turn it around or anything, and that he's even been terrible, but I just expected a little bit more. So not sure if there's anything you want to add to that.
No, I mean, it is what it is on this, and it's a little disappointing. Thinking we're going to see a little bit more, and but hopefully things can change. So
yeah. But that is it for week 6. 6 weeks almost in the books here. We'll be back tonight. We'll go live tonight for a little bit if you guys want to join us after the game. And that's it for today. So we will see you all in the next video.